Hello folks, and thanks for watching True Stories with me, Sherry Weems. As you all maybe know, or maybe not, there have been a ton of natural disasters happening all around the world. If you're interested in touching base and catching up, stay tuned. One of the closest stories to my heart that I've heard recently was the cold storm that hit Texas. Now, if you've never lived in a cold area where there's snow and power outages can happen, it's quite frightening because there's no heat eventually, unless you have a way to supply yourself some heat via, a hot oven stove or things that run on different sources versus the main source that you're used to using for your heat's hydroelectricity and whatnot. I, for one, have experienced that, and it is really, really heart-wrenching. I mean, I was into 3 days with no heat, and when you're somebody who hasn't experienced that, it's shocking. You can see your breath. You have to wear your toque and your mitts and your scarf, and you have to, be completely dressed to go to bed. It's a very uncomfortable situation, and the folks in Texas are not used to having any cold temperatures below zero, really. So the fact that millions of people were out of, power, of course, millions of people ended up getting their power a short time later, but that's not the point. Surviving something like that is really, really, sometimes difficult, especially if you're unprepared. There's been some crazy earthquakes that have, of course, caused some crazier flooding. New Zealand and Mexico are one of them that are dealing with some of these earthquakes. And, of course, we have some hurricanes. We have Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Niran, just devastating the world all around, folks. If you're somebody who's able to help in a financial manner, or perhaps you maybe have supplies that you can donate, I encourage you to look up the source for the state that you'd like to send to, or the province or the area, and forward those on to, the proper officials. New Zealand's earthquake at 8.1 magnitude had literally shocks going on for hours. I mean, they were dealing with the aftermath of those severe earthquakes for literally hours and even into the next day. People that are dealing with the flooding right now, in all honesty, to lose everything to a flood, which I have also experienced, is just heart-wrenching to have to start all over because everything is so ruined after the water's been sitting on it for so long. There's just absolutely no point in salvaging any of it. So my heart goes out to the people who have lost everything to floods, because that is just devastating all in itself, to restart over and acquire everything that you're going to need, furniture and linen wise, and anything that was on the floor, for crying out loud. Let's face it, we all don't pick up all the time, and so you never know when something can happen. I know in one part of the world they had 8 inches of rain in less than 4 hours. So let's really examine how much time you would necessarily have in a natural disaster form. You probably wouldn't have a lot of time to think about that stuff, right? So almost even better to get organized ahead of time and have things ready in case of emergencies. As for an update involving me and my current place and where I stay with the COVID, we have loosened restrictions a second time now. We were at the 25% capacity for dine-in, and we're now going up to 50% capacity. So exciting to kind of be getting back to a little bit of normal. I really didn't see any need of letting you guys know what was going on when the advancement was the exact same advancement news I had given you last time. So my apologies for a little bit of the wait on that, folks. We are definitely all experiencing this COVID together, and I recently had the public health inspector come by our restaurant and do an examination and, make sure that we're holding the public who are dining in accountable as to who they are and their contact info. We have to check identifications and things like that. The requirements are a little bit severe, but the outcome of this getting worse, for it not to be severe, could end up, catastrophe. So I don't blame them for being severe about it now, making sure that all of the businesses are obeying, making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and wearing their masks and washing their hands and sanitizing and social distancing and all of that, right? So we're all trying to just do our part together. And yeah, I'm excited for the extension for the dine-in to open up more tables, to have more customers. However, that's going to mean that the Manitoba health inspector is going to be watching even more so to make sure that people that are standing away from their table or their food are wearing their mask. So if they're coming up to the counter, you're going to the washroom, you have to make sure you have your mask on. You can be fined if if you're caught and you've been told and you didn't want to listen and stuff like that. So let's try to keep doing this together in order to get a grab on the pandemic and keep our elderly safe, the ones that are most susceptible to catching this, right? So let's do this, right? My heart goes out to everybody dealing with, this pandemic, and on top of it, the natural disasters that are going on in and around the world. So my heart and prayers go out to all those people, and I ask you all if you'll do the same with me. So let's do this together. We're in this together, so why not, send out our goodness together. Thank you folks for watching True Stories with me, Sherry Weens, and we'll see you again soon for another true story. Bye for now.